feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood.
Boom. We want to thank Surfaces to give us a little intro here on the Winning Together podcast. And who do I find myself in the studio with but the one, the only, the Lighthouse. What up, Nikki?
Hey, what's up?
Oh, man. I'm going to be Shay, the open ocean today with you.
Oh, I love that.
One of the pieces we have in our studio is this huge banner that you provided to the studio. It's this beautiful cresting wave, this gorgeous, idyllic sunset with mountains in the background, and you're coming through the green room here and just in the wave. And that, I say, I've had it in here since we put in this new studio, and it just feels good.
It sure does. I was just looking at that, and I could literally feel myself riding the wave.
And that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
When we are the riders of our own waves in life, life is just way more fun instead of on the shore looking at people riding the wave.
Yeah. Sometimes we need to observe, but...
That's the truth. There's one thing about you is you speak the truth. Yeah. You speak the truth. You don't have any time or patience for, you've got this great effect about you that you can deliver the feedback or the whatever, but it feels good to get the feedback from you. You've got a way about you that it's like the Mary Poppins, a little bit of sugar with, the medicine, and it's just easy and affable to be around you. And since you're so practical, it makes it very consumable. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Thank you. It makes good sense.
Well, you and I, we've done some big work. Last year, we talked about, hey, what's this new chapter in my life? What would I call it? And for you, it came out The Lighthouse. And now for a year and change, going on, last fall, 2021 is when you came up with that idea, huh?
Yes, it was.
The Lighthouse. Yeah, because then last year, it was what led your whole... Tell me about living into this idea that's bigger than your past, this lighthouse, how that's really influenced your life. Because I think the last big episode we had you on was a Thanksgiving last year, the comeback, wearing the 4-5.
Yes.
And that was a huge breakthrough time for you. And now you can continue to break through new gains, bigger wins, expand, abundance, and receive and manifest everything you've wanted to, and then some.
Yes, it has been an incredible, beautiful journey, honestly. Since November of 21. Was it 21?
You thought that was going to be like, that was like the top. At that time, that was like the pinnacle.
21, yes.
And it was just a new mountaintop to see, a new mountain to go climb.
Yeah, it just kept growing and growing, and it still continues to do that. It has been a beautiful journey. That is honestly the only way I could describe it. It has been painful. It has been challenging. There's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of sadness, but yet, as I look back and I think about all the challenges that I've overcome in the last year of my life, mainly in the last year of my life.
Going on 2.
Yeah. Wow.
I know, right?
It's crazy, because when life is good, it just flows, and it just goes. Mm-hmm. It just goes. But looking back on it, without all the challenges and without everything that I've been through, I wouldn't be where I am today. I can honestly say, we think that getting a promotion at work or, going on vacation or something external adds value to our lives. And we think in that, I feel like we think that in the moment, but yet without all the challenges behind us, we wouldn't even be in front of the challenges or in front of the promotion or in front of the vacation or on the vacation without all of the hurt and the pain and the struggle and the challenge, like all of those things. That is what adds value to our life. and keeps us moving forward for momentum to keep going.
I had this really interesting metaphor that just came up as you were talking. So to give you a little, those of you that haven't heard the Lighthouse come and talk or haven't been able to engage with her in coaching through Team U or through I'm Recovery or witness that light that she brings at Ardu. So those are some local recovery places, but you reach out to people all across the country. You're Tennessee, which we love Tennessee in the house here. So, we love that Midwest, like real persona you bring. You had a previous lifetime where you were a champion level basketball player, college level basketball player. And then this period of life that was really tough. And then from that time of shit, you've been able to now turn that into manure that grows a life and a garden of abundance versus a life that stinks all the time. It's as if you had a basketball season with no teams to play. It's like, okay, so name some of the teams that you used to play that you remember.
Like high school teams?
Yeah, whoever.
Carbondale.
Okay.
East St. Louis. Marion.
And what was your school?
Centralia.
Okay, so it's like Centralia is your life, the way you were talking about it. And if you don't have Carbondale and you got East St. Louis, those are like the challenges in your life or the opportunities. If you didn't have them to develop a better offense or to see how you're not as well conditioned as they are, you don't have the necessary contrast in life to develop your gifts and talents to overcome.
Yeah.
If you could look at those challenges in your life as just a team you play and that you either learn from it or you win, so you never really lose, you grow as a player and become an athlete, which is who you are.
Same game, different beast.
Same game, different beast. I love that.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you use that metaphor. My dad used to always tell me, you have to play defense to play offense.
Do tell.
And it's so true.
How would somebody who doesn't know sports understand that analogy?
The ball's just not going to come to you. A member of the opposite team is not just going to throw you the ball. You have to defend. You have to defend what you want. You have to defend what you are striving for.
Like the song goes, we must protect this house.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So if you're willing to protect what you have or do your best in doing so, and let's not forget those of you out there, it's not just yourself or 5 players. You've got guardian angels, you've got God, source, you've got people, friends, family, people you don't even know that when they see somebody willing to defend and stand tall, they will come to your aid and stand tall with you. And if they don't, you will be enough.
Yeah. Focus on what you do have rather than what you don't have.
What does defense look like in, for an engaged mom who's reinventing herself, who is putting herself in a place of, the suffering isn't the story, it's who she's becoming through the suffering is a story. How do you do it now? How are you playing defense?
Showing up for my kids, doing what I say I'm going to do, being an example of who they can become if they put the work in, and teaching them right and wrong, and not saying it, but actually living it and doing it. You can't lose when you play that way, or when you just live that way. There's no way that they won't be able to see that and receive that, and live into it in their own lives. Your kids are, they say your kids are, they are what they see. Well, they are what you do. They become what you do. you have to be I have to be an example because I wasn't that for so long,
And they're incredibly resilient, and they tend to not get stuck in the past. They tend to live in the present more. And yes, I'm speaking to those of you who have teenagers and even grown adult children. They tend to not hold on to it. They tend to want to be in the present and the near-term future with who you're becoming, not who you was.
Yeah, and they want discipline. They really do. Like teenagers,
That's the truth.
They want discipline. They want structure. They want stability. It's so...
Can you imagine a ref that would call the rules sometime in a basketball game, but other times they wouldn't? No. Or that their rules, they're just like, well, you ought to just make it as you go along. The rules, the boundaries protect the needs, which give the game structure, which then you can thrive in it. There's no structure to it. There's no discipline. There is no freedom.
And I can't imagine it because I was that parent.
Mm-hmm.
I was that ref. So there was no stability whatsoever. There was a little bit of structure.
Yeah.
But there was no stability and no consistency within it.
Yeah, the being able to trust and push up against those boundaries and know that if I push up, I'm still okay. The actions, the choices may not be okay, but I'm still okay with my parents or my people or my family.
Yeah, for sure. And it really helps. My children have, they have an older sister now that is living into her potential. And they see that and they that's what they want for their lives. So it helps. It just helps. It's just it's such a beautiful thing how, and I got sober and not just being sober, but living a life of recovery. And then just how each one of our relationships have changed and how they trust it now. Like you said, they trust it. They believe it. They know it. Like they don't have to question it anymore. They don't have to question, is mom going to, is she going to go back out? Or is this going to happen? And they know it now. And it's such a rewarding feeling to see them feel that way.
It's the best.
It is.
To stand on your own and stand in your personal life and power and aliveness, and that's the gift you give. And this goes out. This goes out to anybody who has teenagers, or young kids. Sure, true, but teenagers are wicked, inspired. In this generation, there's just the teenager population. They are amazing.
Yeah.
And as maddening as your teenagers may be, or as hard as it may be for you that's listening, they truly are something special.
Yeah.
And if you'll allow and trust that possibility and live into that, that's where recovery skills can really help you. You may not use drugs or be into porn or any of that kind of stuff. You just may be struggling to feel joy in a life that's kind of a grind or that's kind of feels heavy or whatnot. This is where recovery skills can bring some light and joy and possibility into the suffering and the struggle, so that defense can turn to offense. So you don't feel like you always are under pressure against an opponent who's endless or is always going to win. You can see yourself actually becoming a winner in the game of raising kids or being a wholehearted person.
Or co-parenting. That is for sure.
And the thing about it today is we really truly can't look at what our parents did for us and apply it to our kids, I think, like any other generation. We have to become the parents of 2025, of 2030, the world our kids are growing into. And the best way that I've come across, Nikki, and I want to ask you about this, is tapping and tuning into inspired action. If I will listen to my inspired action that comes up through my body, that sparks that thing of like, oh, that's inspiration, that I've found has been the best way to meet my kids' needs that are coming, versus trying to parent them on the parent I was yesterday.
Absolutely, especially with teenagers today.
Especially with teenagers, and how quickly things are changing in our world and around us.
Oh, like every day. And recently my daughter had went through something like this, and and I put so much thought into it I was just thinking, okay, how can I help her? How can I help her? How can I help her? And I had to take a step back and realize I cannot think her way out of this. Like, I have to meet her where she's at and try to sympathize. I don't think it's possible for me to empathize with what she was going through, but I could sympathize and I could meet her where she was at and help her feel her way through it. I couldn't think her way through it for her. And I think there's so many times in while we're parenting that we don't want to allow our kids to feel what they need to feel in that moment. And so they turn to something else to feel or not feel. And I feel like that's a lot of what is wrong with society today.
Yeah, if they're, like you said, parent or kids want boundaries, our job is to put them there, and their job is to push up against them.
Yes.
That's how we learn how to hold boundaries and also to establish them and to know when it is time to keep the rules and when it's time to break the rules. Let's not forget, most of our heroes in life, I'll just go with Harry Potter because I know this one. The thing that made Harry Potter magical is, did you get that one?
Mm-hmm. Magical?
Is that he knew when to follow the rules and when to break them.
Yeah.
And when you teach your kids to follow that inspiration of like, oh, these are what the rules, they're going to get me here. But if this is when I bust out of the box and I think outside the box or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we are able to, oh yeah, what is that? Is that your inspiration? Okay, you follow it. And then they connect with their own personal power and not, oh, mom and dad are going to, solve it for me. Even though that feels great to solve your kids' problems, it's the best. It feels really good.
Yeah.
What feels way better is to see them connect with their own personal power and inspiration.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, and that, I just had like a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
With my son, my youngest. He is so in tune with himself. He knows what he wants, but yet he knows when to break the rules and when not to. He just has that. He's like a 16-year-old boy not trapped. He's just experiencing it in a 70-year-old man's soul, like our body. He is gentle and kind and caring and smart, intelligent, and knows what he wants, and he knows how to get it, and he knows when to get it and when not to go for it. If that makes sense.
Huge. That's interesting because that's what you're experiencing in your life too.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. But just the opposite. Well, kind of. I guess I'm 18. Well, maybe 18.
Oh, we definitely focus on living and being younger as we get older.
For sure.
Yeah. It's the stuff.
Yeah, because it feels good.
Because that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that brings us to one of the ways, the ideas I had for our podcast today is, the recovery. Wayne Gretzky, great hockey player. You may not know who Wayne Gretzky is if you're listening.
Blues.
That's right. He is very, when they asked him what his secret to greatness was, so he's like the Michael Jordan of hockey, it would be an analogy. And he said, what makes me great is I skate to where the puck isn't, not where it is. So he's going to where it's supposed to be that makes the best opportunity to score. And recovery is where the suck isn't. How would you say that applies to, as you've navigated recovery and, so often people want to talk about the icky, sicky, and that does need to get acknowledged.
And addressed.
At
one point.
There's some healing and dealing and feeling for sure in that space. But your recovery is not where that suck is. Where is it?
It's where the feel good is.
Yeah.
It's where think outside of the box. It's where do I want to go? And, thinking about what I want for my life. And because I feel like we get so stuck in on what I don't want. And so let's focus on where it isn't rather than where it is. And, at some point, like I said, I feel like it needs to be addressed, but yet how are we ever going to continue to keep moving forward if we constantly are focusing on where it is? You know?
Yeah, because then you end up recreating your past
Yeah.
and not a future that you want to be different.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be different, so I'm going to go ahead and keep spending money like I was spending it, and shopping online when my partner isn't looking, and going into debt, or whatever your thing is. I know one of the ways that I address that is there was a time where one of the ways I would punk out would be shopping, and it was all stuff we quote unquote needed, but 2 Swiffers? Do we need 2 Swiffers?
Yeah.
Do we need 3 laundry detergents? And so when I do the shopping, I get stuff that, oh yeah. But I have that kind of like feeling about like, really, you shouldn't probably spend this much right now.
And then when you're in line, you're like, okay, I'm going to take this out of the cart.
Yeah.
And this out
Well,
of the
no,
cart.
that's how I got there, right?
Okay.
I like, okay, this doesn't feel good. Okay, and I put them back, not where they're supposed to go. I just stick them somewhere.
Stick 'em on the
Like, hey, they pay people to clean this up. Okay. And when I started doing those small things my big break point was when I had this cart that was full at Target, and it wasn't the money. I just had this feeling of like, yeah, you probably don't need to spend money on that right now. And you're trying to repair this part of your relationship with your partner, and this is a way you can do that. Most importantly, if you just walked away, what would that feel like? And I was right in the front of the store, and I just kind of put it against thing, and I just walked out. Like, I had to start doing what would Shay normally do in this situation? Okay, do the opposite. Just don't do that. Well, usually he'd go for Mountain Dew here. Okay, just don't do that. And when I started just saying what would I normally do and not doing that, not in the opposite direction, just not that. Oh, I'd really get a Chico stick right here right now? Okay, well, maybe I'm just going to get a Reese's then. Whatever it is, just don't do what you'd normally do. All of a sudden you find yourself going a different direction, and it's not so, you don't feel so stuck.
Oh, it's such a freeing feeling.
It really is.
It really is.
Try that. If you're listening to this, like, you fill up your grocery cart, and if it doesn't feel good, just leave it and walk out the door, and you will feel light.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And you will still have what you need.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way. You still get
It'll
what you
come
need.
to you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the light there, if you want to go to, if recovery is where the suck isn't, light and dark would definitely apply that. Like, when you're broken, the broken places where the light can come in. So that the suck, when you embrace the suck and let the light come in, then you can move through it to that feel good place for sure.
Yeah. Because there's always cracks in there, and it will seep through eventually. You just got to stay. What's the word I'm looking for? Disciplined, I guess.
Possible, expansive, hopeful.
Expansive. That was my word about a month or two ago.
And what did it do for you?
My life is expanded.
And
Incredibly.
we remind all listeners, expansion means that stuff had to break. It means that stuff had to, like, that you wanted, maybe had to go for the stuff that you want next. Like, expansion doesn't mean it's like this beautiful, growing, flowing. There has to be also some bumping against old beliefs, different attitudes that served you well. Now they have to go. And so the expansion is a creative, chaotic process sometimes too.
Oh, it's a lot of work.
And it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts. It does. But there's something on it. There's so much power in pain. Like, there is so...
Tell me.
There's so much other...
Because that does not feel sucky when you say it like that.
There's so much power in pain.
Yeah.
There really is. It's freeing. It's when it gets addressed. There's a quote that Will Smith says. I think it was Will Smith. God places the best things in life on the other side of fear.
Okay.
Well, fear equals pain for me. That's one way I look at it. And if I can get through this pain, if I can just, changing my perspective on things and having compassion for myself and having everything that I've went through over the last 8 months. And, when you can see what kind of value that pain that the pain had added to your life or will or did, or you'll start to experience the power on the other side of it. I wish I could put it into words better.
What does it feel like in your body when you find the power in the pain?
Light and free. Yeah, just very light. And the opportunity to fly anywhere I want to.
I love that. I love that. For somebody who is the eagle of joy, when you say fly anywhere I want to, that resonates with me. And I know one of the ways that you and I will capture the courage in the moment to embrace the pain or the fear is through breath work. I know you and I both will get really into our breath and start breathing in. Meditation is another area that you and I have developed some a wicked, awesome relationship with. It doesn't mean I'm meditating every day all the time, but I will go there and I will go there. In fact, you and I were doing it this morning and part of preparation for this. And what's another way you capture the courage that is always around you and in you to go into that place that you are being called into? It's painful, fearful.
Vulnerability. I think that is what it's like, being in a relationship with others too, or coaching, whenever I'm, coaching a client. And, I can't ask a client to do something that I don't do myself. I don't want that. It's not that I can't, because I can. I choose not to. But I feel like there's so much, and it's the same thing with the pain and the power. That vulnerable, sweet spot of, okay, I'm going to get vulnerable. I'm going to address the pain. I'm going to get vulnerable. Then I'm going to have the courage to walk through it. And on the other side of that courage, that's where the freedom is. That's like that. That's where I feel like I literally learned to fly.
And anyone listening, if you know what it's like to fly like Nikki and I know, then you know when she says that, what that feels like. If you don't know, all you need is the want to know that. And I know for coaching, you work with a coach like Nikki or I, and we will get you there. If you're willing to go there, and that you want that more than you want the average experience you're having, or the painful experience you're having, or the mediocre experience you're having, we can get you there. And I think connecting with that vulnerability, one of the ways that I know I practice it is acknowledging when I'm punking out with someone. Sometimes I just need to do it with myself, but more often than not, I need to do it with somebody. I've done this with my teenage kids, actually.
Yeah.
In December, I had got with my 15-year-old. I said, hey, I need your help. I need to do some cold work, and I'm putting it off. I'm putting it off. I need to go get in the cold water and sit, and I'm putting it off. And I just said, hey, I need to let you know that. And, will you remind me or when I need to do it? Will you kind of just be there with me in the space? I'm just letting you know that I'm punking out on that. And when I'm willing to acknowledge it, and I name the demon loses its power. And it becomes less of a controller in me. And I don't need the feeling, and then I don't have the urge to, or the craving to medicate it away either. I'm with it now, and medicating with food or drugs or alcohol or, social media or stand-up late or being a jerk does not come up.
Yeah. And I feel like that's, and not just with clients and coaching but I feel like it's also with my teenagers, and them seeing, I can feel with, with my daughter, what she was going through. I cannot empathize with that because I've not ever been in that situation or ever been in that kind of hurt, that actual kind of hurt and pain. But yet I can show her it's okay to be vulnerable and to have courage, and it's okay to feel the way she's feeling. And on the other side of that pain is power. And I've watched her walk through that a few times now in the past couple of years. And that is the parenting today that I get to do,
And when you can parent from that place of inspiration, and you can connect her with that inner, because she has an inner wisdom too.
Oh, yes.
And to connect her with that when she can it says in the scriptures, she can come unto herself and connect with that source that does not ever end and always loves her. Like the way you and I try to strive to be parents of love, then that's the parenting of tomorrow. Because the parenting of tomorrow is we team up. It is no longer, I'm the parent, I'm the source of knowledge, I tell you what to do.
Right.
These days, the knowledge is out there. Mm-hmm. It's the doing together and the winning together as a relationship. You know, when they're teachers, they're still kids. But at some point, they're going to be adults, and it's adult. And it's not the same. But, you know, while they're kid and you're adult, there is that way. But it's the teaming up together that you live your life and I'll live my life and we'll be alive in our lives. And that's the way forward. I feel, and what I've experienced is you're going to be at the right place at the right time more often than not.
Yes, and I've literally watched her step into her own, on her own path. She's 18 now, but the way I've literally been, it's such a blessing to watch her grow, and I do believe that it's because of the way that I have shown up for as a parent, and not just myself, my ex-husband as well. You know, I'm not gonna take all the credit for that.
Sure, it's the combination of life experience there with the people there that makes it work.
Yeah, and it's just been so beautiful to watch over the last few months, watching her step into some uncertainty that she doesn't. You know, she's getting ready to graduate high school, but she was terrified, and you know, she had a lot of anxiety around it, and honestly, not just to watch, but actually to be a part of.
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
An axiom that you've lived by and I've seen you live into and has been powerful for me is, and this is speaking to anyone out there that can relate to the feeling of I have nothing. And if I have nothing or I am nothing, how do I get to something? How do you do abundance, like Nikki, when I have nothing and I have nothing, that means you can have nothing. So your axiom is, nothing of value is ever truly lost. Mm-hmm. So how did you come from a place of I have nothing to I have something or I am something or even to abundance?
I have everything right now. Okay, so action, I believe, is like the number top 2 or 3. The ways that I have lived into it, not just and feeling my way through it, acting and allowing, I think would be the top 3. You know, it's like they say law of attraction, right? I've had to.
It's a law of the universe.
It is. So it is what it is.
You can resist it all you want, or you can embrace it.
Yeah, and it says what it is as well.
That's right.
Because if you think about it, the law of attraction, in the word attraction, there's the word action. So it's like.
I love that.
It speaks everything.
And that, for those of you that think the law of attraction is just like, so you mean you just say it and it comes to you? Mm-mm. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. For all those of you that are thinking that's BS, yes, you cannot play defense without moving your feet, and the law of attraction is like you ask for the opponent for the ball and they do give it to you. However, in between that is action, like learning how to defend, learning how to be patient, learning how to wait for them to make the mistake. Like it is
asking
not
for help.
Efforting, but it definitely does take action.
Yes. Yeah. And asking for help.
In a healthy way.
Yes. In a very.
Getting your ass thrown in jail is a way of asking for help. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And asking somebody to bail you out is asking for help. Your kids telling you they don't have any homework over and over and over again is asking for help, but not in a healthy way. So there are healthy ways to do it too.
Yeah. And, looking at things from a different, and like, okay, I never thought I would say that word, and actually, because I don't feel like I'm an analyzer. But yet, there have been experiences over the past 8 months or so or in the past few days that I have to, I stop and I take that pause and I analyze. I literally do. I analyze it, And I try to look at it from every angle, every perspective. And the number one question I think that I have to ask myself before I make a decision or before I respond to anything, or so I don't react to situations, is, does this support the life that I'm creating today? Like it sounds so cliche, but it's so true. And it's so important for me. And it's so imperative that I ask myself that, because if I don't, that one wrong decision could lead backwards. And sometimes, I don't feel like I don't backstep.
You just do two-step.
Yeah.
Cha-cha-cha.
Yeah, and I make it fun.
That's right. You foxtrot.
But I feel like it's so important to ask yourself that. And especially, being in active addiction for over 23 years, one wrong move and could be my last move.
That's right.
And I have to remember that every day. No matter.
Change or F and die.
Yeah. Yeah. And I literally have to remember that, because at any one point, I could be right back there if I allow it to. So I have to check myself a lot throughout the day, throughout the week. And literally being around people that light me up. Not gas me up, but literally light me up. They keep my flame burning.
When you felt like you had nothing, did that people that light you up, would that intimidate, or like how did you get through that place of like, I'm worthy to be around people who light me up, even though I may not feel it's true that I'm not where I want to be?
Because my intention was clear. My intention was clear on what I wanted. My intention was clear on who I am. My intention and actions do speak a lot louder than words.
Yeah.
And just living into the life that I was creating at that time, and the life that has come to me today. And when I look back and I think, there were moments I felt intimidated. I'll be honest with you. There was a lot of moments I felt intimidated. But you know what? I had to remain humble and I had to remain teachable, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to live into the life that I have today.
Something that you had experience in is a place you go where you're stepping into the court and somebody may be better than you, but you found a way to either show up, suit up, and do it up. And there were times when you would beat somebody who is better than you. You were in the zone or whatever it was, right? And there are times that you really got beat up and they really took it to you, and you're like, oh, that's what it is like to really get schooled.
Yeah.
And so it seems like there's a place you were able to tap into that, in your life, there's likely times where you have overcome, or that you have been intimidated, but you have stayed in that place because it felt good. It was the right thing, or the right people, or you knew it was a good place to be. Was there an internal tapping into that thing when you recognized that you knew it?
I don't know if what just came up for me is Professor Mamba.
Yeah, tell me.
It's crazy. It was just like, and you had said that on a podcast recently with Chandler and I. Yes, what you had called me. The professor part, that is because I honestly don't listen to a whole lot of music anymore. But I wanted to learn. I wanted to grow. And my intention was to learn and grow in order, how can I add value to others' lives? How can I add value to my own life in order to add value to others' lives? And with all my experience that I've been through. And so I would literally listen to, I'm sure you hear a lot of it, a lot of podcasts, a lot of...
Well, you and I, this similar stuff really calls to us. We have a similar way of content that it appeals to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, just...
Like the Winning Together podcast, of course.
Always. Just constantly wanting to learn and grow and be my best self. And Mama means to be the best version of yourself that you can be today. And I strive for that every day. We all make mistakes. I'm not perfect, but that's okay. But I'm okay with not being okay sometimes.
Oh, heck
and
yeah.
I think that that has helped me a lot. But I know that I did, as long as I know I did my best today, and as long as I walk into a coaching session and know that I did my best. So that's where I think the Professor Mama just came in. I truly live to be Mama every day. And some days may look different than others. Some days may look brighter than others. Some days may look a little dim. That's okay. But because it's like Kobe says, failure does not exist. It only exists if you allow it to exist. It only exists if you don't wait. If you fail on Monday and you fail on Tuesday and you wake up on Wednesday and you don't look back and ask myself, how can I get better? How can I be better? How can I do better? That's when failure exists. So
yeah, I don't now measure myself by all the times I punked out and didn't get in the cold water.
Absolutely.
I measure myself by times that I did go in, or that I even attempted to, or that I went and just was with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just put my feet in. Like, I do what I can that gets me closer to what I want instead of talking and fighting for what I don't want. Yeah. I start crying to win instead of crying to quit.
Yep.
So to read it, and comes back, one of the things that came up for me is when you feel like you have nothing and you want to get to something, you always have the option to choose. You have the option to choose who and what you want to do in the next step, or the next moment, the next word, or the next thought, or the next action. So that's sovereign. Now, when you're under the influence, you may not have that power. That's what makes getting under the influence so dangerous, is you may do, say, or act in a way, and it doesn't matter if you have a doctor-prescribed Ambien or you're doing something illegal. If you are staying up and doing dumb stuff on Ambien and you don't remember, the dumb stuff still happens.
Still comes up.
It still comes up. So it's under the influence, you may lose that agency, which is what makes those substances so pernicious. So when you come back, and if you are wise and you're using medications as prescribed, etc., you always have that is sovereign, the gift of agency to choose, and the gift to not judge your shit.
Yeah.
Option two, you also always have the option to like yourself or hate yourself less.
Yeah.
Those are choices.
I feel like, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're...
Under the influence also for me could be responding or reacting in an elevated state. Like,
for sure.
That for me now, that's my under the influence.
I'm sure you hear that in my house with my kids sometimes when I'm in an elevated state.
Hey, we learn and we grow. Yeah, it's a thing,
and when the punk is who for me, icky Nikki for you, when they're elevated of I can be a real jackass. I would say that's under the influence too of not my best self, not my the eagle of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I react in that elevated state, when I'm under the influence of anger or even hurt, sadness, all of it, that's my under the influence now.
Yeah.
So, I have to wait, and I just have to observe, as we were talking about earlier, observing and waiting until I am able to make a conscious decision, because in that moment I'm not conscious.
Well, just like the wave we have up on our wall here, this beautiful wave, if you're surfing at times, you will get taken down. And if you will just breathe, I don't surf, so put that into, but it's when you're under there, if you've got to breathe and the waves will come over and you can find your way to the top, or your tether to your board will pull you up. And if you can go and be with it, you find that it rarely lasts longer than you can endure or deal or cope, especially if you're allowing yourself not to be alone.
Yeah, for sure.
You have the option to feel good. So here's an example, and we'll kind of turn the corner, start bringing this home here. This morning, my girl, she got up in time to go to her choir, but she was not feeling good. Mm-hmm. And so she was telling us she wasn't feeling good. And we're like, okay, yeah, but you're not sick, so you can still go. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want it. She wasn't having it.
Was not receiving it.
Yeah, exactly. Was not open to coaching.
Right.
So she threw a battery tantrum, and she went into her room and chose not to be on time for school. And the way our situation is we were able to work with that. And after brothers went to school, my wife and I were able to go to school with her, and we were able to come to a place. And before we left, and because in those elevated states, when I do and act in a way that's not in alignment, I'm coming back so quickly, and I'm saying sorry a lot. I'm saying, hey, this is not how I want to be. I apologize. I will do better. She's like, hey, I wish you could take the morning back and do it over. And we're like, yeah, we know we could, but you can't. So here we are now, and she's saying sorry before we even walked out the door. Well, on the way, I stopped to buy donut holes. Mm-hmm. And my wife says, so are you rewarding bad behavior? We're late, and she's getting donut holes. And I said, I thought about that, but really stopping to get donuts on the way to school, it just felt good. Yeah. So that's what I'm going with. It just felt good to get some donuts and gone away. And I thought, it's not like when they're on time, I make a point to go to the donut store and be like, you're on time, let's go get a donut. Right. It's usually when we are acting out or have something different. And so either I need to start buying donuts on days that everyone's on time or early so that we're rewarding good behavior, or I just need to honor that I can choose to feel good. And even though we're late, things are always working out for us or her. So I'm going to buy donut holes because it feels good. I'm going to have a donut with you because they're just good. Yeah. And you always have the option to choose to feel better.
Absolutely.
And that, I feel, is the real, like, secret weapon that you and I have just used the HE double hockey stick out of no, I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel good. Does that feel good? Is that good? I want to turn back to feeling good. I want to feel better. I want to feel more. Like, feeling good is the way.
It is. It really is. But a healthy way. Feeling good in a healthy way. You know, not, like you said, not like using substances and, you know.
Do you know how I distinguish that from me? Yeah. When I'm being indulgent versus inspired. So that means all y'all out there that are choosing to watch too much TV, and how do we know what too much TV is? When you feel like you're indulging in it, and that's a feeling that most anyone listening can like find in themselves. When I am indulging, that's when I know that. Yeah. And I don't mean like in a luxurious, chocolate way, like when
you think of indulgence, like you think of chocolate.
Yeah. But when I'm indulging in something, and the spouse says, hey, you need to get this done, or the boss is like, hey, you're not doing your, like, then that's the way I distinguish that. Like, feeling good is not, and since I come from a good place and I'm a good person, it's rarely self-centered or self-serving, feeling good.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Rarely self-centered.
Haven't you found that? I mean, that's what you found, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the coolest part is, today I get to choose. 2 years ago, I couldn't choose. I didn't have the option to choose. And once my brain started to heal, and now I get to choose.
We need to do a whole cast on that, because you and I, that's one thing that we did common, our paths did converge, is we, from early on, really were intentional about healing our brain.
Yes.
And letting, like, that heal the body.
Yeah, I'm always looking for brain food.
It is the stuff.
It's the way to go. But my memory is healing. It's still healing.
Do you want to hear a funny story?
I would love that.
So my wife, early on in our marriage, within the first 5 years, she has brain cancer. Mm-hmm. She has a big old brain tumor. And the neurosurgeon that we find is one of the best in the world. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens that we get connected with him, and we find out she's got this tumor the size of a man's thumb, and on October 31st, on Halloween. And then within 2 weeks, she's on the operating table, going in there, right? Hours and hours, the doctor comes out, and he looks at me and says, okay, so you're related to money, she's doing okay, and your wife has really beautiful brain tissue. And I was like, you hitting on my wife, Doc?
That's an amazing
he's like, no,
compliment.
No. But he's like, she has really beautiful brain tissue. I was like, oh. Yeah. Allow yourself for a time, if you're listening, a week, focus on the beauty of your brain tissue and not the beauty of your face or your body or your clothes. If you will go there, it will bless all those other beautiful parts of your life, and you will be healthier, wealthier, and wiser in your brain, which then is what drives everything. It really is.
It really is. It really, really is. And focusing on like connecting your brain with your heart, feeling good to healing good, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I think that's probably why Joe Dispenza, is so, is such a godsend to you and I, is to connect the science with your brain to the mysticism and the ethereal, and see how, the magic really is science-based, or vice versa. And that's been a great way for you and I to learn about that. Continues to be.
Yes.
Joe Dispenza.
All the time.
All right, here's going to wrap it up. I've been asking some clients, so we're going into this time frame, February 2023. Often in our culture, February is associated with love. And I'm not going to ask you about love and that's coming and what that's meaning and whatnot. And to all my young, less experienced people in love, you may feel or think that hate is the opposite in love. Well, you and I that have been around a little bit longer than others and pay attention, we know that apathy is the opposite of love. Mm. So I'm curious, what's your relationship like with apathy going to be like this month? What is your relationship like with apathy?
I can honestly tell you, I've only experienced apathy a lot of times over the last, but over the last couple of years. I've had a couple of days where I'm just like, I don't know that it's that I'm not feeling. It's almost like I'm just like, I don't want to feel,
And when you're doing that, when you don't want to feel, is it sometimes just so you can get through and get things done and accomplished and show up to your agreements and commitments?
To wake up to the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally.
Kind of the soldier on idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And it serves me, in that moment. But that is a very interesting question. That's something I've never thought about.
Have you observed it in clients? That they're apathetic, that their relationship with their apathy is way more developed, or they're way more involved in their relationship with love? Oh,
for sure. Because I feel like it's for me, whenever I was going through my early months of recovery, I didn't know what it was like to love myself. I didn't know what it was like to love others. I didn't know what it was like to be loved. I had no idea. And now that you say that, yes, I've definitely seen that, because it's easier. It's easier.
That may or may not be true.
Well, I feel like early in recovery, for me, it was easier.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was easier I thought.
And sometimes if you're in an unhealthy place or situation or family or relationship or whatnot, apathy is also a survival mechanism. It is definitely a way to survive. And so I'm not shaming or putting it down like you're supposed to love. Apathy can serve all of us at times very well.
Yeah, and I do see that now that I've never thought about it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a thing. What is my relationship with apathy? I'm going to have to think about this one.
Maybe you've been starving it over the last few years as you've rocked your recovery and you've really developed your relationship with love. It could be that you're just not feeding it anymore.
I think it just doesn't exist. And honestly, it not with me anymore. I think that I've grown. I yearn to love and to be loved. I literally, I do. Just like this morning, we had a situation with a client at Ardu, and shout out to Ardu, by the way. And so
Ardu,
yeah. And I was honestly honored to get called in to be able to share something with a client that something hard, something very painful, and it was so cool to be able to watch her and to be able for her to watch her know what it felt like to be loved. And she felt that. And I feel like that's something that she hasn't felt and experienced in a long time. And, right before I left, she was like, "Thank you so much. I love you so much." And she's, I guess you could say, a lot like myself when I first came, got into early recovery, not wanting, like, don't touch me. I'm very closed off. I'm reserved. I don't know what that feels like, and it's uncomfortable. And so to watch her grow into her comfortable of being loved is just, it's such a rewarding feeling. I forget where I was even going with this in the beginning.
Well, one place I want to notice you is as you're talking about that experience, and I know that there's maybe a previous time where you would kind of take it on that heaviness because it was the light was coming through the cracks in her experience because something that was shattered, and you were there to experience being there with her as she had the opportunity or has the opportunity to kintsugi that and kind of reshape the thing that was shattered in a way that is beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And as she finds that within herself and to see that your light that comes through you spark that and radiate that warmth in her and to know that, hey, it is you, but it's not you.
Yeah.
And that's great. It reminds me actually what you shared about with your daughter and how you've been able to guide her to herself, her own inspiration. And it's no wonder that you're leading out and some of the recent codependent workshops and whatnot is because those things, there's a way to codependently do those things, but you're doing it in a way that's interdependent, that I'm here with you, but it is you. And my light, I'm the lighthouse, the light comes through me and I shine, but it's not from me. It's from me, but it's through me.
That it's through me from you.
Yeah, exactly.
And to watch, that's where I was going, the love.
The love.
There is not a more rewarding feeling than to watch clients grow and learn to love themselves and to learn that they're worth it and in turn to love others in a healthy way. There is no more rewarding feeling than that. Like,
it's the stuff for a coach anyway. It is the stuff.
It really is. It's not a job. No.
And here's the catch for all y'all that want your people to do better. You got to go there first.
Yes.
So if you want to know what it feels like, that rewarding feeling to see somebody connect with that spark and that do their work and experience the bliss that comes from that and the abundance that now flows and that self-love that you thought could never be, that was nothing and now is something, you go there first and your people will be inspired in ways that you were just hoping or even felt impossible, and the magic it has to happen.
Oh, it does. 100%.
Well, I think we've covered some great ground. Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
It feels good.
Yeah. I feel like this is kind of our best, our Sunday best. Good feeling.
Yeah, for today.
I mean,
it's our Tuesday best.
Shout out to our surfaces, we're going to go out on. And I think that finding that good feeling, you can always do it. It's like, I'm going to have donuts today because I want donuts.
Yeah. I'm
going to eat good because I want to eat good. I'm going to like myself. I'm not going to put myself down anymore. I'm going to listen to a coach. I'm not going to listen to music anymore. You follow that feeling and you will always find it. That's the truth.
Stay present and focus on your breath and the feeling. It's that simple.
The crazy thing about abundance is what you have most and always to start your abundance work in your life is your breath.
Yes.
It really is. And that you have in abundance.
Yeah.
It's true.
22,000 breaths a day, by the way.
Is that what it is for average person?
Yes.
Wow.
So that is where I had to come back on gratitude, like one of my tools. I had to come back, when you get in those achy moments.
Yeah.
There's one easy peasy, simple tool to use, and that's gratitude. Thank you, God, for allowing me to have 22,000 breaths today.
And gratitude is moving and powerful when it leads to trust. Trusting and knowing that God's business is to make sure the air is there. So let him do his work and you just consume and don't hold it in.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to actually breathe in and breathe out. The right breath is always going to be there at the right time.
Yes.
Lighthouse, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Shane.
Here we go.
Feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood. side.